Yes, sir. Top of the evening, loved ones. Top of the evening. Welcome to the Respectfully Great podcast, and I'm your host, Johnny Reed. Today, I want to first give you nothing but an immense amount of gratitude. Let yourself know that you are loved. I want to tell you that in real time. Hopefully, you'll be able to recognize that for self. Um, love yourself, love others, cherish the people that you have around you because we know that tomorrow is not promised. So, I just want to put that out there as the first caveat for today's episode. So today we are live right now on so many other platforms. We are live on StreamYard, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Let's start this off right. Like, share, subscribe already before we get started. If you haven't subscribed to some of these platforms, please do so because it allows us to come together more synchronized and be able to come together with more great dialogue. And for future reference, we'll be able to go back and reference some of the things that we have discussed in the information will always be there. So it always will live in the world of the virtual world. So it's a beautiful thing that be able to express those things. So today we have a great topic at hand. We have so many awarenesses for the month. We have Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We have Domestic Violence Month. We have Bullying Awareness Month. We have Mental Health Awareness or Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. There's so many things that are going on in our society and our communities. I want you to be well aware of what's going on, as well as myself being informed. Just want to be able to commute and deliver that message in its totality and be able to open and unpack some of the things, some of the ills of our own community, some of the things that we all experience, some form of fashion. We have may been the one imposing. We may have been the ones that were victims to some and such acts. But ultimately, it's learning lessons. There's some things that occur where it may not be a turnaround for some of the other individuals because we know that on the other side of these things, some people may not live to see for tomorrow. And this is what kind of hit home for me because I've seen some of these things around the media, right? And one of the things that I've seen in the media as of recently, there was a young black African American man um down living in Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken, and his name is Trey Reed, right? And when I heard the last name initially, I said, Reed, this may be a relative of mine. A lot of times people spell their name when it comes to read Reid, Read, like reading, or Reed. He happened to have the same last name as Reed. So I'm listening initially just thinking like, man, how ironic is it that this individual have so many things that hit home for me. Just the story and the backbone of the story alone, this young gentleman, 21 years old, he was at Delta State College in Mississippi, 21 years old. During his first semester, he ended up being deceased, killed, or unalived because we know there's certain words that we can't use on this format, and I want to be able to be mindful of it. I'm learning as I go, but for whatever one reason or another, he was unalive, and they wanted to rule out any other foul play. They wanted to write it off as a suicide, and there's so many other people around the world that took notice to this happening, and it raised a lot of eyebrows in the midst of the family. We had other individuals like Colin Kaepernick who said, you know what, there's something off about this scenario, this particular event right here. And I think it needs further investigation. So having a private autopsy is one of the measures and methods that is being taken to, further look into some of these things because we all know having a suicide or somebody being unalived, it's it happens, right? But the way that this situation had happened, this young gentleman was hanging from a tree, right? And what we know about, here in the world that we are living in the past, that was a past practice by individuals to humiliate, to unalive, to take away some of the things that all people in America or here, and it's primarily, hey Jonathan, how you doing, young man? Hope you're doing well and your family is doing well. Nothing but peace and blessings. That's my young man right there. He's a great, great student, great kid. Uh, wonderful, wonderful young man. So what I was saying is that there was a situation that we know here in, during the times of slavery, segregation, etc. This was a past practice of people wanting to um, decrease population or commit different types of warfare on particular people. It was race wars, right? And there was a lot of violence, and there's a lot of things that humanity had went through from different races of people, cultures, religions, etc. And we just know that we all have witnessed it in some form or fashion when it occurred back then. But now we start seeing a resurgence of some of these things in real time like today and in our day and age, and we start to wonder and think about, well, where does this energy come from? Where does this um hatred stem from? Why is it still present? Who orchestrated some of these things? Why do we need to have awareness months behind bullying, behind domestic violence, behind some of these awarenesses? Because I feel as if sometimes we can bypass some of these things if they're not hitting home initially, right? And I think it's a wonderful thing that we always can be able to have perspectives. We have objective truths, then we have subjective ideas, and these are some of the things that um, we can unpack, and we can find a fine line of where are we going wrong in society. What improvements can we make? How can we help one another to have a level of understanding on what we all can contribute as people in humanity, just to bring more awareness to incite change and positivity in the right way. Because a lot of times we go out in this world and we see there's a lot of things where there's a lot of things that happen to where people start to be at the feet of others, right? And what I mean by that is that, of course, we know that it was always a thing where people came and tried to take over territories. We know that there was a lot of wars won and lost for people to gain, you know, um, rulership over certain particular lands for trade routes, for religious beliefs, for um, everything that you can imagine. There were so many things that just transpired throughout history to where if we not living in it as of right now or aware of it, it goes unnoticed. And my thing is, when some of these things that I watch and I see throughout the media, I think to myself, how does this apply to me? What can I say? What can I do to order to bring awareness, to incite change, to change my perspective for the better? So when I look at some of these things, when I take the young man's story and I watch and I say, okay, how ironic that it's Bullying Awareness Month as well as Domestic Violence Month. Let's unpack this a little bit, let alone sharing the same last name, being an African American male of youth, and then being lynched or hanging by a tree. It made me start to think about, wow, where was these past practices? Why is it still occurring today? So that is the premise for today. I know we came out the gate kind of strong, but it's nothing but good intentions on the outcome of it. Also, I just want to say a disclaimer: if there's anything that's going to be said or have said or that I've said in the past or even now today, understand is with the sentiment of trying to gain more levels of understanding, not to hurt. So when I come and I say certain things, it's perspective, right? My perspective, and I don't want to bombard anybody or force or make it feel as if like I have the ultimate say, because at the end of the day, we all are individuals. We all have autonomy over oneself. We all have the power and the wherewithal and um your own belief systems that you can bring to the table and say, you know what, I don't totally agree with that. But understand it's not the sentiment, it's not geared towards you as an individual. It's just subject matter that we all can just gain some level of understanding and figuring out how can we come together to figure out better solutions for some of these problems. So when I seen that, I thought about my family members, my loved ones that are off in school and college, right? And I say to myself, at Delta State, right? This occurrence where it happened at, I start to think to myself, But what's happening on campus? How are the students interacting with one another? Where's the psychology of our society, as well as the youth, as well as the teachers, as well as the students? If there was some type of trouble or something that occurred, where were the ears that was willing to listen? Where was the eyes that see things that may have been problematic, that can address some of these issues? Where are the voices that could be heard to actually, stand up and say, hey, let's bring something to our attention. Let's see what's going on this side, and let's see what can we unpack and just gain some level of understanding with. What's up, Ellie? What's up, Aunt? What's up, loved ones? We got some beautiful people in the building tonight. I just want to give y'all a shout out. I appreciate you guys showing up today in real time. It means the world to me. Um, so yes, that is the subject matter at hand. So for anybody in the chat, uh if you are here with me in general, just let me know that you're here with me by sending some level of emoji, hands up, thumbs up, some fire emojis. Ellie, thank you for the love and the response. I see you in the building. You always show up in real time. Appreciate you for that, sis. Appreciate you. Yeah. Do anybody identify with bullying, right? Were you a witness of bullying? Have you been bullied? Have you been the person doing the bullying? I can be super, super transparent, open, and honest. I think I played all sides of it, right? I think I played a part in all sides of it. I have many, many stories, excuse me, by myself, with other individuals. And bullying, let's be very, very transparent, is not just the physical abuse. It could be a verbal abuse. It could be a financial abuse. It could be a systematic abuse. It could be a race. It could be a variation of things that can play a part with something. And thank you for the emojis, loved one. Big muscles, big biceps. You heard? Yes, big blessings. There's so many things that we can look at in forms of bullying. And it made me think about some of the books that I've read, things that came to my attention, things I've seen, and just my own experiences. So I just want to know, if you want to share a story, if you want to highlight some of the things about domestic violence or bullying, how does that affect you? Is it something that you want to uh, demolish or diminish or abolish itself, let it go away? How we can, I know we all can definitely do without bullying and abuse, domestic violence. Understand that there are so many people that are harmed and hurt by some of these acts, and it's all because of not all from one thing. It don't stem from one thing, but there's clearly a divide and there's clearly an issue with the individual and the psychology behind them. Where did they learn these practices and these behaviors from? Was it in their family? Was it on the television? Was it practiced amongst friends and family members, or in some type of setting? Where was these behaviors acted out to where we feel comfortable enough to act them out? Or where we feel like, okay, if there's something that's heavy on my heart, the only way I'd be able to communicate that is through some sense of violence. I was talking about it the other day, and it's crazy that we hear, because I touched on it not much in this aspect, but I started to highlight something about Jim Rome, and I think this was the last episode about last week. Jim Rome is he was a insightful individual that did philanthropy work, also did growth and development. He did a bunch of things, and I know he had a big name in the areas of what we all striving to do, just being better individuals, right? And he did a study about him going around to prisons to prisons, and what he learned throughout his workshops and going into prisons, that a lot of individuals that were in that dire position, they were there due to the fact of not being able to express themselves without the physical, right? Without having to use force or violence to communicate a message. And he said over 70%, this is during that time, don't know the numbers now, but I know at that time when he did his work, he said over 70% of the people that he came in contact with throughout the systems in his studies, there were over 70% of people had a limited vocabulary, had a limited vocabulary. So he was saying that what he gained from that insightful knowledge was that a lot of people that was in that position, he found out communication was the divide. That was almost like damn near the deciding factor of people being able to express how they felt. So when you're not able to put the words to how you feel behind the emotion, it leads to more of the acting out part. And we see this a lot of times when we see children, right? Just in general, when we see some level of frustration, and we don't teach the youth how to handle their emotions, right? Just have emotional intelligence, if they would say. But their brain's not fully developed until they get 21 and older, etc. But what I'm saying is, at that early age, we tend to see children screaming, yelling, stomping their feet, throwing things, maybe inflicting some pain on themselves, pinching, hurting, biting, pulling their hair. We've seen all of these acts within children. And then you say to ourselves, well, that's an undeveloped brain. That was a practice that they have seen until somebody along their journey had to instill some level of discipline or wherewithal, or teach them, hey, you upset, tell me how you feel, write down how you feel, what colors do you see. All of these things are practices that I know that I was privy to in order to get out some of my level of frustration, although I still acted out in various um situations and occurrences, and it led me to places that I didn't want to be at. But although I know I was still given some of these outlets in order to express how I felt, because there always was an ear for me to, when I had something on my mind, I was able to speak. But if I wasn't able to put it into words, how would I be able to express what's going on? So I think some of these practices, what we can learn about where does some of this domestic violence and things stem from, it could be a variation of things. And not saying that the only way to communicate is through verbal, because we know there are people out there that can't speak. There are people out there that can't hear. There are people out there that has to use sign language. So what I'm saying is that if we don't find effective ways to communicate, somewhere along the line the communication is distorted, and then that leads us to other forms of communication to where we don't present them as our best attribute in order to communicate. So what I'm saying is, if I learn how to use one skill set and develop that over time of communication, whatever form that may be, and I was able to develop that over time, and found, I had some patience with it, and say, you know what, hey, this is just how I feel hungry right now. I'm just rubbing my stomach continuously and just giving a sign of like something wrong with his stomach. Does he have to go to the bathroom? Is he hungry? Is he sick? What's going on with him? But over time, I know that we can learn through children as well. Just through they cry. When babies cry, they have a certain cry from when they're hungry. They have a certain cry when they need attention. They have a certain cry when their pamper or their diaper is wet. There's so many things. What's up, Nisi? What's up, cousin? There's so many ways of communication, and I think that we can be very, very smart individuals, and we can learn some of these methods even from a child up until adulthood, to alleviate some of the trauma that we all are dealing with in our families. And I find out that when it comes to communication, it's probably the number one thing for me that I see that's primarily problematic in our communities, in our environments, and our families, within our friends, and all of these places. I hear conversations about somebody that want to say something to another person, but they telling someone else other than that person what's on their mind. And I say to myself, there's a clear divide of why that other individual can't confront that other person. Well, what is the friction? Why is it? Is it not a safe space to voice your opinion, or do we know how to communicate? Are we using type of words and languages? My brother Ant has a comment. He says, watch a movie called The Shack. Came out in 2017. Gives you a different perspective of life. Tell me more, beloved. Tell me more. I'm definitely going to check out that movie first and foremost. I think I'm gonna watch it tonight. Baby, down to watch it tonight? She down to watch it tonight. We are going to watch that movie tonight, and we're gonna rock out. So definitely we're gonna tap in with that movie tonight. When you say different perspective of life, can you just give me a little bit more so I can follow? Is it a different perspective of appreciation? Is it a different perspective of communication? A different perspective of how we look at others or how we see ourselves? I'm gonna watch it for sure tonight, and I will definitely come back next week with my own perspective. But I want to use your expertise though, Ant. I wanna know what you what was something that you taken from the movie that made you change your perspective. Good fella, what's up, loved one? It's my brother in the building. Good fella in the building. What's up, family? Peace, God. Yeah, some of these things, some of so we know perspectives, right? Perspectives. We have subjective and objective, right? We have objective, right, which is dealing with truth. And then we have subjective, which is pretty much, if we think subject matter, which is opinionated, right? And I learned throughout time And I learned this from Dr. Ali Muhammad the other day. But I've been evaluating this thing from so many different standpoints. But I heard something super profound from Dr. Ali the other day. And Dr. Ali said the way we start to use our levels of objective and subjective truths would level us up in a lane of following and carrying our purpose and being able to have different levels of wisdom. So I started to listen. I was like, okay, tell me more. What is he talking about? So what he was saying is this, right? We have truth and opinion. The beautiful thing about truth and opinion is that truth, truth can't be tampered with. Truth is truth because that's the foundation that is rooted in. It's rooted in truth. Then we have opinion, but everybody's opinion don't weigh the same. What do I mean? People can have guesses, but it's a difference between having an educated guess. What do I mean by that? I'm saying that there's something I could just pull out the sky and just say, all planes fly upside down, which we all know that's not true, right? That's just my opinion. But if I said, hey, what I seen on aviation, when there was individuals in aviation school and there was pilots that were doing things in the military, they had a method to where they only flew upside down to avoid something, 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 whatever that may be. Then you can say, okay, that's a more educated guess because there's still some truth that's aligning with my own opinion. And then what happens over time when we start to use objective truth and subjective opinion, and we start to have more rooted truth within our opinions, we start to gain more insight and more wisdom along our journeys. So when we start to make decisions, we can have higher quality decisions. This leads to more prudence, meaning that we have more wisdom behind our decision making. We start having agency, being able to solely make a decision on or by yourself without the help of others. And this is what I started to learn about developing my own mindset. There's things that I believe in that I know other people don't believe in. The reason why maybe they don't have the found experiences that I have. The reason why I may not feel or believe what someone else may say, I may not have the same experiences. But one thing that can't be denied is truth. So he, she, them, we all may have our own opinions, which we're all entitled to. But then when we start utilizing our opinions based and rooted off of objective truths, now we start to come into more found wisdom. So now, even if our opinions still an opinion, it can be more of a highly respected opinion. And then over time, we can keep shaping and refining and molding our opinions until we can find rooted truth behind it. And then now, once we have the truth, we can just start making more truth like decisions in our life to what aid us to a more prosperous and more developed, more refined future for ourselves. What's up, baby, bro? On the Wave King in the building. It says tapped in on the tube. Absolutely, bro. My brother's tapped in on the tube. Beautiful thing. So when I was expounding about the Trey Reed situation, right? And I started to talk about how there are different levels of domestic violence, bullying, and there's all forms and fashions. It made me think about this book that I have, right here. And I've seen it on the shelf because I haven't tapped into it in a while. It's called The Color of Law, right? The Color of Law. Richard Rothstein is the individual that wrote it. So primarily, what the premise of the book is showing that um, even in society, when it comes to people having ownership, right? They had pretty much zoned off depending on who you were, what race you come from, what color, what creed. The color of law was just saying that minorities, blacks, they were left out of it was pretty much zoned in America when it came to being able to purchase property, etc. So if I wanted to go purchase a home at the time, and even now, it's still effective to today. If I wanted to go purchase a home in a prestigious neighborhood, and there was only a selective group of individuals or family or race of people there, they would have uh, laws, people, and things in place that would deny me access to actually reside in a particular part or landscape wherever I wanted to live at. And that made me think about segregation, about biases. It made me think about how so many of us are left out of the equation because of systems that are in place to not allow us to grant access. And it made me think about, is that a form of bullying? Is that a form of, people will call it nepotism? Nepotism would be where I have a job or something that I bring on my family member to, I bring my family member in, right? Or if I'm in an environment to where, hey, I'm gonna bring somebody in that I know, or a family member, friend, etc., whoever's connected to me. So when I thought about that, I thought about uh redlining. That's what we call it. Eliana, she got the terminology for me. Thank you, sis. It's called redlining. Redlining is where she's in real estate. She knows the game. Where can you unpack that? Because you have more insight than I do, right? Can you explain that a little bit for me, or just put it in the chat however you want to do. It says when it comes to purchasing real estate, absolutely, they call it redlining. And I think I'm explaining it. Maybe I haven't got the whole gist of it, but my sister's well informed. She's actually in this lane. She understands this to another level more than I do. And the terminology is called redlining. And when it comes to purchasing real estate, there are certain zones that don't grant certain certain selective individuals and people to gain access to this particular landmass or landscape or whatnot. So when you talk about bullying, we talk about domestic violence. It all kind of ties into it on different variations. It comes financially, economic. It says there are laws against it. Okay, so they put out laws now to fight that. To my knowledge, is that what we were saying, Ellie? She said there are laws against it. Mm, something great to know. Something great to know. See, these are some of the, see, now we breaking down some of the biases, right? So some of these things that we come up against, we have to use objective truth, right? It's no longer standing on opinion. Now my sister is telling me that no, there are actual laws in place to stop this from happening, because we know it was an occurrence. We know that this had taken place at various times throughout our culture and society, to where people say, hey, I'm gonna section you off and you can't gain access to this type of property or this land. Yes, says because it's a real thing. Absolutely, sis. She said it's a real thing. So now we are well aware that these things occur, these things happen. My thing is, what are we doing as a people to come together and take a stand against just the mindset behind some of these things? And I think that it starts always with self. It starts with the psychology, what's going on in the home, because a lot of these things are passed down through practices, through generation, through generation, through generation. It's like once you get in, then it's like, okay, the door is shut, and then now we're gonna screen everybody else that come through the process. And if we like them, depending on race, color, creed, financial status, etc., it's up to our discretion for whoever call the shots to grant access to other individuals. And I feel that these are some of the things, these are some of the walls that we have to break down in society, because I feel it's taking advantage of something that we all should be privy to, right? I think we all should have access to financial wealth. I think we all should have access to being well aware of mental health and having the outlets, the resources to go if we need help, to go into the programs, having the voices, the ears, the system set up in order for us to, when we dealing with troubled uh situations, when we dealing with trauma, when we dealing with things that we haven't yet fixed. I think there's so many things that happen in our communities to where we need the help. And where does the help come from? The well aware, or the people for lack thereof. If we have some type of resource that we can all offer, or to be able to put out in the ethos, I think it does a just due just for us having a conversation. You feel me? Amen. Absolutely, sis. Absolutely. I feel that we all have a voice, and I feel that we all can contribute to some level, as well as being able to take a stance on some level. We represent not only ourselves, we represent our family and the future that comes after us. And I know that if we did everything in our power to move forward and be able to be the best individuals in our own lives, and for somebody else to have rulership or say, no, you don't qualify, after all of the work that you put in, all the sacrifices you did, all of the things that you did in the midst of your family, everybody following suit and everybody doing what's in their power to advance just in life. And they don't have to be just strictly financially. I'm saying being able to be better human beings and being able to take a stance to make a change, to make a difference. Why are we left out? Why are we left out? Why are we left out? So just having a conversation around these things is primarily why I just thought about the subject matter. I know that the bullying, domestic violence, I've seen these things. I've seen these things. I rest in peace to my sister, right? Um, Sharrada, her life was taken through domestic violence. Her life was taken through domestic violence. That's not the only case that I've seen that hit home for me. I've seen this on so many other levels to where I start to think about, man, how many times does this occur? How many people are suffering in silence? How many people don't have the voice or the outlet or the trust around them to express how they feel? Now, when we have all these bottled up emotions, you know, um, not to cut the wisdom, but me and wifey was in here watching a video, or it's a documentary on YouTube, not YouTube, Netflix, if I'm not mistaken, documentary. And long story short, is about a young lady and her family went on a cruise to some of the islands, and they had a week trip there. After a few days, their daughter ended up being missing. Long story short, throughout the end of the documentary, it seems as if she was being sex trafficked, right? She was being essayed, assaulted, etc., etc., etc. And her family was yearning for answers. It's been almost 30 years since the occurrence, and they still don't have all of the answers that they've been looking for. And there were other people that came across and said that she's alive, said that they've seen her at various times, other men, other women, people I crossed paths. I've seen this lady before. And at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that for whatever transpired, where's the help? What's up, Quay? What's up, sis? Where's the help? Who is out there that that's aware that these things are taking place? Or who's the ones doing the taking who's the people that's taking advantage of these people? Right? How where does the mindset to say I'm going to hold this person captive and they got to listen to my direction and they can't do they under my tutelage. I'm the one that's gonna be able to direct them. I'm the one that's gonna give them the yes or the no's. I'm the one that got control and autonomy over their life. Who give them dominion over their life as if we don't have someone to answer to, as if we all don't have that higher power, that creator that we all got to answer to. Who feel that we got dominion over another human being for their sake? How do we feel that we amassed that much power that we feel like we can control and dictate somebody else in their life? What I know is that we see this so often, and they show it on television. They show it through the media. We see it in some of these households. We see it in the streets. We see people get smacked up left and right. And we're like, well, where are the people taking a stance? Well, why are they in that position? We ask ourselves, well, why would they go through that? But we don't know the other side of it. Why that person inflicting pain and hurt on that person? 9 times out of 10, it seems like they were taken advantage of at some point of their lives. So now they want to inflict that same pain on other people, because anybody in a right mind will feel and know that that's not right. Who taught this person that type of behavior to make them feel as if they're right? We have a comment. Lizzie says Amy Bradley is missing in the Netflix documentary. That's where it is. Everybody, if you want to, you can go out there and check that out. Amy Bradley is missing is the Netflix documentary. That's what we're talking about, being on the cruise, etc. And the young lady just ended up disappearing for 30 years. They went on a cruise, family members, loved ones, mother, father, brother, and the daughter herself, Amy. They was all on the cruise. And then after a few days, they were looking for the daughter, vanished. People had seen her during the course of their different trips to different islands, and they came across her from the pictures and what they said looks like her through facial features. They did facial recognitions. The FBI got involved. So many people got involved, and they said that is the person. but they seen it on different websites of dealing with levels of prostitution, etc. So so many things that's going on um that happens that we see. And my thing is, well, what do we do? What do we do? I think having a conversation first is the start. Even if you don't know what to do, if you have experienced it or you've seen somebody going through it, we need to start having voices and being able to have the conversation around it and let people know that first and foremost it's not right. So whoever taught them, whoever are going through the thing, we first got to understand that this type of behavior is not tolerated and it's not right. That's where we got to start at. And then from there, we got to start taking more proactive measures to make sure that it's not happening around us. Make sure that we are all mindful of how we speak to one another, how we treat one another. What does respect look like? What does trust look like? What does loyalty look like? I think defining these things and having a pact and an oath and a bond with you, yourself first, and then your loved ones and your family members, then extending that out further. I think you get more levels of understanding on how to draw the line. Sometimes people can't differentiate what is respect and what is disrespect. People may not know what is trust, what is love, what is peace, what is happiness. Some people can't even define what that look like because somebody said, "Oh, you know what? My person or whoever say you in a spousal relationship and someone is doing physical abuse." And they said, "Well, I know he or she loves me because they hit me, and then after that, they hug me and love me and just tell me that I would never do it again." We see that on movies. We see that in real life. We see these things, and we have to start really defining what these things are. What is it? What does it look like? How do we define truth? How do we define peace? How we know? How we find happiness? How we know what respect look like? Do we know what loyalty look like? Have we ever defined these things? Who gave the definition? What is your definition of it? Because now we can start having some levels of understanding of, okay, when you say I respect you, what does respect look like? Now we all can follow protocol and say, you know what? Hey, I know that I may have done some things that drew the line or crossed the line of saying that I love, trust, or respect you because I took an inch. I mean, I took a mile when I only supposed to, go an inch. I went a little bit further over. I went way over the line. I did some things that I know I need to be reprimanded for. That comes with the level of responsibility from each individual. We also have to understand that it comes with the level of responsibility. A lot of times we don't want to be held accountable for some of the things that we do. We want to justify and buy reasons to why things happen when they convenient for ourselves. And these are the things that get distorted in the messaging that we communicate to us, our loved ones, our family, the world. If we act this type of behavior out, what messages are we sending? I know we watch some of these TV shows that are scripted to where all they doing on there is fighting all day. Fighting, 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 fighting. This one sleeping with this one, that one sleeping with that one. This one scamming, this one taking money from the mom and the dad. They doing all these type of things. So now we start to look around and say, is this normal behavior? What happens to an undeveloped mind when they watching these things? Yeah, you may be an adult and you can tell the difference between, is that real or is that scripted? But when you're dealing with an undeveloped mind, you got some teenagers running around here that don't really have the fully developed brain, and they're watching what their friends are doing. They hear the type of language that they're using. They're listening to the type of music, and they don't know the difference between entertainment and reality. What happens with the messaging? Whatever was false, whatever was falsified, start to become truth. And then now it's mixed in between to where the truth and the lie are all mixed into one and they can't tell the difference. So when they say, okay, somebody does something to you and you harm them, you go above and beyond to hurt them even more. But don't understand the opposite end of that is that you may end up in prison. You may end up hurting somebody. You may end up, having some level of abuse. You may inflict some level of abuse. You may be the victim themselves. You may go out there and do something that's unlikely. Well, that's not like you, and the likelihood of you coming out of that unscathed is not a good chance. We see the situation with Trey Reed where he's unalived, and he said that it was a situation to where he inflicted pain on himself. They noticed his family members, his loved ones said that's not his character. We know him loving, beautiful, beautiful soul, beautiful kid, and he never operated from that type of standpoint. But what happened? What transpired during during them school days, in an area to where they known to have a lot of racism? because we all deal with segregation and type of things and biases. We all have opinions about who, what, where, when, and why. Some people say, you know, I don't like hot dogs, I like cheeseburgers. I don't like cheeseburgers, I like pizza. Everybody got their own opinion, which they're entitled to. But what happens when we start acting out and start feeling like we have autonomy over other individuals and we feel like we can rule and control what other people do? People start crossing that line, and then people may get mad about, you know, whatever through a conversation, through some physical altercation. We don't know what transpires, but then people may go the route, and then they willing to take somebody's life or take their own. Then what happens in these situations? Do we want to have people in our world that don't know how to solve their problems, so the only resolution is not being here in real time? I don't think that is the best solution for me or my loved ones, because I feel that anything that is troubling or you know, difficult in the moment, or I know that they're temporary states and it's only perspective. And if we able to understand that and be able to have great dialogue around these things and actually give practical steps on how we can, you know, go from a troubling state to one of bliss, to one of understanding, one of change, one of uh happiness. And we go from troubling times to times where we know, hey, you know what, no matter what trouble I got going on in my life, there's a lesson that need to be learned here, and I know I'm gonna come out of this a better person. And we start understanding the difference between cause and effect. We start understanding that whatever I do, whatever someone else do, it's a cause, but the effect is going to happen. But if I start to input better causes, then the effects on the back end would be more probability for me to be a better individual. What's up, Max? Brother Max in the building. What's up, loved one? He in the dream. What's up, cousin? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We in the building today. My brother, my cousin John in the building. My brother Max in the building. Big love in the building tonight. Yeah, what do we do in these circumstances? We got to be better. We got to be better problem solvers. We got to be able to be bigger than the problem. We got to know how to solve problems. A lot of us just resort to some other level of programming, whether we learned how to do some of these things are learned behaviors, but it's skill that can be developed in the process of it, because everything can be learned. And the more and more we start becoming aware of self, knowing who you are, knowing your advantages, knowing your disadvantages, knowing what you want to excel in, having more familiarity with who you are and your purpose, you'll start to align with things that suit you for a better future. A lot of times we get mixed up in some things because we don't have identity, we don't have a sense of self, and then now we led astray because we are following the routes and roots of other individuals or the media, or we following some things that are scripted, that's not reality. And now we're in a position of need of direction, because we can't find self, because we torn between 20 different other individuals, and we haven't, you know, centered self to have an idea of who we are, what we stand for, where we want to go, what we want to contribute. Well, what is my purpose? Why am I here? How I'm shaping and molding that? How am I going into the world and making an impact? How do I affect my family? How do I affect me? How do I affect the people I come around? Is it positive energy that I exert, or is it negativity? Or do people want to be around me? Why not? And we start to understand these things, we can get better leverage in our own lives and say, you know what, I choose to go down this direction because it's by choice, not by circumstance, not by temporary perspective, not by a temporary situation or a temporary occurrence, something that just happened. We're not staying in that same space and being, you know, uh, 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 distracted for what's really going on, what's needed, and what's necessary in our own lives. Miss Hustle Styles. Yes. What's up, loved ones? Creations. Miss Hustle Style. I chopped the whole thing up, right? Absolutely. So let's go down. Let's go down through. You know what? Where we at right now? How about we take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. That's what we're gonna do. Really quick. Where we at? Peace, beloveds. Thank you for tuning in to the Respectfully Great podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Reed, and I appreciate your continuous support. Do you know that over 80% of the people that watch our channel aren't subscribed? By subscribing to our channel, you give us the opportunity to bring on more guests to add more value to our channel. To join our growing community, head over to respectfullygreat.com, sign up for our email list to get exclusive updates on empowering blogs, as well as the latest and greatest in respectfully great fashion. Once again, it's nothing but big love, and we value your commitment. We are back now from the Respectfully Great. That was a great um commercial break. If you haven't tapped in yet, please go lock in, share, subscribe to our email list, because you'll be able to get updated on all the things that we got coming in the near future with our growing community. And it's a beautiful thing that we all should stay tapped in, because I think it's imperative, I think it's important, and I know that it's necessary and needed in our communities, that we just constantly touching base, because it takes a village to raise a child. And I feel that we are God's children, right? And if we learn from one another, if we able to come together with our likes, our dislikes, be able to guide one another, be able to come together with all of our resources, I think we be able to have so much more impact um in our communities, and we be more suited and well off in the near future for what we all be able to contribute to society, because we all are beautiful spirits, beautiful beings. And I know we have great potential, unlimited potential. We can maximize our potential, and I know we can do that from where we standing at right now. We don't have to be where nobody else is at. We can start making impact from where we are right now, and that's the power. We can just start with self. If you make a change today with self, you are impacting the world, because now you have your interactions with other people. You have a better mindset and perspective that you'll be able to offer to other people. So no matter how far behind the eight ball you think you are, no matter how far off from where you need to be at in your life, make one change today, and it's going to impact for the rest. They say make 1% change every day, and over time you'll be amazed on where you'll be able to go in your near future. Ellie says, "That's fire. I like how you did that." Absolutely. Big Bones. What's up, loved one? Be on the building, man. What's up, my brother? Let's get it. Slim, what's up, bro? Be in the building. Let's get it. Yes, sir. So let's bring it to the cycle of silence. Let's go here with it. Bystander effect. Why friends, family, classmates, or neighbors often see signs but remain quiet. Why do we see these signs and stay quiet? Great question. I heard comments like this. I've seen some situations where there was police brutality, and no pun intended. I got family members and I got loved ones that are in the armed forces, and I love them unconditionally. And they are doing their job. They serving. They are prosperous, great individuals, great human beings, and they are um, great human beings. And he's serving with nothing but uh, respect and the greatest intentions for our humanity. So let's put that out there first. But I've seen there was a situation where there was a domestic, well, there was police brutality. So domestic violence still involved, right? And I was with a friend of mine, and I'm not going to discuss who they were. And I said, "Yo, man, that's crazy." If I would, this is what I said at the time. This happened years ago. This is nothing that happened recent. This is a long time. I would say maybe at least 8 years ago, very long. And at the time, my mindset was like, I could not stand around for something like that, for something like that to happen, and not try to do anything. And then the friend of mine was like, "Man, I'm never getting in that." So I ain't getting in that. I would never. Say they got to go through that by themselves. And I started to go back and forth and try to have, just some dialogue. Like, what do you mean? Like, what if that was your loved one, your daughter, family, kids, brother, whoever? If they were in that position, you're just gonna stand by and let that happen. And they said, "Well, I'm not getting involved." And I said, I just thought to myself, so asking the same question, right? Posing it to us in real time. Why do we see the signs of this level of abuse and we don't say anything? I know one question is, one perspective is my brother said, "I'm not getting in it." I couldn't really understand why, because we didn't get to that point, but he just said he's not getting involved. What are some of the reasons of you getting involved and not getting involved? What are the consequences of you getting involved and not getting involved? Because I can understand. I just want to hear your perspective. I'm very, very opinionated, right? So I definitely gonna tell you how I feel. But in the chat, let me know if there was a domestic violence occurring, right? From whoever. They don't have to be police brutality. Just say that somebody you seen outside, a random person outside in the streets, and they were getting pummeled, they were getting beat. What would you do? Are you going to say something? Are you not gonna say anything? Do you need more context to the story? Do you feel it's somebody else's job, like maybe calling the authorities and let them handle it? Or since you don't know them, it doesn't affect you? Or do you feel like, I need to take a stance? How do you feel? What's up, K? K in the building, Kayleen in the building. What's up, loved one? What would you do? What would you do if you seen somebody out there that's, you know, getting hurt for whatever reason? Are you going to step in, or are you going to say, I'm just mind my business? I ain't got nothing to do with that. I can tell you that myself, um, I was in, I would get involved. Powerful, Ellie. I love your comment. I respect your comment. I would get involved. It's powerful. I like your perspective. Anybody else have an opinion? Anybody else? Would you get involved? Would you do? What would you say? Is there anything that can be said? Is it your business? Is it not your business? How do you feel? If there was a domestic violence situation going on outside, do you feel the need to get involved or stay silent? I was talking to a brother of mine, right? And he witnessed a domestic violence situation. He actually grew up in an environment where there was domestic violence. And talking to him, there was something that was said. And what was said was that at the time, he was a young kid. And Kayleen said, absolutely, absolutely, sis. Absolutely get involved. Powerful, powerful perspective, sis. Absolutely. I am with you. I am with you. What my brother said was he was 5, 6 years old, and the domestic violence was taking place in his home. So while this domestic violence is taking place in his home, the one that was doing the abusing was stepfather. But the stepfather, you know, besides just being a grown adult, his voice said that he felt like no matter what I physically can impose or try to impose on this man, I couldn't hurt him. I had to sit back and watch my mother get abused because I couldn't do nothing physically. And that kind of sucked me back in my seat, and I felt the level of pain for me, just having levels of empathy. I sat back in my seat and I'm like, I can't even imagine of witnessing somebody getting hurt that I love and I can't do nothing. I was with a situation the other day and I'm with my niece, and me and this other individual had some Breeze. What's up, loved one? Me and this other individual in the past had some discrepancies. And I told my mother this maybe like yesterday, 2 days. I just talked to my mother maybe 2, 3 days ago. And I was telling my mother, I said, I don't have a child, right? I love my nieces, my nephews unconditionally. And I have a stepson. But I mean that I don't have a baby per se. But I was with my niece, which is a baby, right? My niece is only 3 years old. So I sat back, and there was, me and this other individual had some level of discrepancy back in the day. We crossed paths, see each other, we mediated like grown men. That was that, right? Because there's no bad blood. We just had difference of opinion at the time. But I told my mom something hit me totally, totally different that I never looked at in my life as a parent. I said, what was running through my mind when I seen this individual, all of the outcomes that could possibly happen. And I started to think about, I said, if I was out there dancing with this individual and my niece would have just witnessed me look like I'm getting hurt, I can't imagine her feeling like I'm getting hurt or hurting, whatever case may be, and she doesn't have the power to help or stop. That totally changed my perspective on how I need to handle myself around people, around children at all times. And I didn't understand it. I really, really didn't understand it until that moment. And I'm like, that set me back in my seat, and it gives me a so much of a reality check about parents, of how much they have to protect their children, no matter how much you may be in a position of wanting to act out in any manner, but knowing that your child is first and you thinking about their well-being is primary. My niece, I put the same niece, I put a video up last week and I put tears on my face, and my mother's watching the video at her home, and my niece seen it. She said, "Uncle Johnny crying. Why Uncle Johnny crying?" It was getting upset. And my mom turned it to thinking that she wanted off. She's like, "No, go back. Why Uncle Johnny crying?" Me and my mother go back to the video and trying to figure out why was I crying. And it made me think about, in that same moment, had I been out there dancing and got into something else, she just seen me she's just witnessing, looking like I'm going through something. But imagine actually going out there and physically getting into something. And it just made me think about things into to different perspectives. Going back to my brother having to witness his mother get abused. So red in the building. So loved one. Imagine his imagine how he felt. Imagine how many other children are just experiencing, how many adults are experiencing, how many people in the world are witnessing abuse on some form, some fashion, some level. And the thing is, if we don't start having these conversations around them and letting people know that these things aren't right, if we don't start drawing a line in the sand and saying that there's different levels of respect, there's levels of loyalty, there's honor, we have to define these things, because we all may know the textbook term, we all may know how it feels to me directly, but do we have these open conversations in our homes? Do we talk about it with one another? Do we talk to our companions? Do we talk to our parents? Do we talk to our children? Do we talk to our friends? What does respect look like? Respect look like, you know what? No, we just don't talk about one another. We don't talk about each other behind each other backs. If there's something that need to be said, it comes to me and you first. But if I hear it from somebody else, that means that our loyalty is broken. That means that we don't have a pact, that we don't have a bond. That means that where how are we connected? How are you protecting me? Even if we got a discrepancy and even if we at odds at the moment, how do you protect me? Because I know that from my perspective is that even if we're not on the same page, if I say that I love you, I still got to be able to protect you when you're not around. Me and you may know that we got an issue, but I'm not going to talk about you with somebody else and chime in conversations about you, because I know that I'm breaking that oath of loyalty and love and respect. So what I'm saying is that if we don't start defining these things, it could really lead everybody astray. And these are some of the things that happens every day in our communities. This is what leads to some of the forms of bullying. This turns into some forms of the behavior that happen when our children. Our children start acting out in class or in school. We're like, why are they acting out in class? They're not. Why are they avoiding the homework? Why are they doing all of the negative joints? Why are they doing these things? And then you start to find out, well, maybe home life ain't right, or maybe that behavior that they watching on Baddies or Bad Girls Club, or wherever they getting their whoever they following, that's teaching them how to react and respond to some of these situations. What do we do now if they following the wrong things? So I think that we need to be more impactful in having more of these type of conversations within our homes, with our loved ones, with our families, with our friends, of understanding, you know what? You say, well, what does loyalty look like? What does trust look like? How do you feel about X, Y, and Z? Because I feel like once we start defining these things with oneself and loved ones, we can really start to break up some of those tactics that people are doing nowadays to take advantage of other people, like the bullying aspect. That's why we have Bullying Awareness Month, like Domestic Violence Month. That's why we have like domestic violence. That's why we have Domestic Violence Month. We have these things to bring more awareness, because we know that they happen every day. People are getting the people are being unalive because of some of these things. We see the young man at Delta State, 21 years old. Well, what transpired? What led to that type of that harm? What led to that type of uh, uh, act or acting out or occurrence or happening? What led to that? What transpired during that interaction with whomever that led to the young man being hung? But these are the things that I see in our community every day. The thing is, sometimes we don't say nothing, and then we wonder why some of these things don't get fixed or addressed. We got to start being able to find our voices or communicating in a way to let other people know that, hey, some of these things aren't right. Some of these things aren't right. Breaking the pattern. How we start breaking the pattern? Pattern, right? For people that are victims, they have me and Lizzie was talking today, and we was talking about like you know when people undergo some domestic violence and stuff, they have you know they put the victim in like in a shelter or something, and then they start to relocate them. That's one way of trying to help save that person from that domestic violent case. We also know that they have hotlines to where there are numbers you can call where somebody that you know or seen, or if you're the victim themselves, uh, you can call and be able to seek some level of guidance and help. If you're the one out there that's victimizing, you're the one out there inflicting the pain, we need some level of counseling. We need some level of training. We need to go speak to somebody. We need to go to a behavioral therapist. We need to figure out, okay, why, where does this stem from? Because if you want to change and if you don't want to hurt nobody no more, if you don't want to be hurt, we have to start taking different measures, and we got to start exploring. And there are options out there. There are options out there. We have hotlines. We have anonymous numbers we can call. We have places we can go. We can go shelter and relocate. They got a lot of things we can go to. Um, some authority. We can talk to a family member, a trusted friend, or whoever, somebody that you trust. If you don't trust nobody, for everybody's out to get you. That you can go to a place of comfort. They have churches. They have so many people that can provide some level of resource to get you the protection that you need. So this is why we bringing this thing to our attention, because we know that this happens. I have family members and friends. Like I told you, my sister, Sharrada, died from or unalived from a domestic violence case, bro. That's real. It's not fabricated. So what I'm saying is that these things hit home for me. And I know that it hit home for a lot of other individuals. And I know that we all can help and aid one another just by having a dialogue, by having the resources readily available. If anybody have seen this or witnessed it or are going through it, my line is always open. You come to me, it's gonna be between us, and we're gonna figure out what we need to do from here to get you the necessary help. If you're the victim or the one doing the victimizing. There's things that we just can unpack together, because I'm all about solution based. I'm all about problem solving, because I know that we all are struggling on some level to figure out, okay, if I'm tight on this type of situation right here and I need some expertise, there's somebody out there that can help me. But if we start building up our community of trusted individuals, okay, we need a family doctor, somebody that knows health and wellness. We need somebody that understands financial literacy. We need somebody in our community, in our family, that offers that. We need somebody in our community as the therapist, somebody that can go in there that know how to heal with their mind, heal with their words, heal with their hands. We need people in our community that just understand so many variations of what we need in society to strive and be better individuals. And that's how the communities are built. Everybody got a job to do. Everybody offers some level of service to where we all can have the necessary healing that we need in order to be the best versions of ourselves. We undermine the human potential because we just keep putting in different areas of thinking that things are going to get better because of time. We don't understand that over time, if you don't do anything, things decay. It turns to chaos and disorder, atrophy, entropy. When you leave things by itself, you don't curate it, you don't water the grass, you don't give it the proper sunlight. Then you start getting the weeds that come and just take over, the plantation. They start taking over the garden, start taking over, the areas where you want growth and new growth, where you planted those seeds. Those seeds don't get a chance to grow because they getting taken over by the weeds, and then they turn to disorder and chaos. Then now you got to wait for the next season to plant the next seed. So we missed out on that. So understand that when we plant these seeds, we got to do everything in our power to nature and nurture these things. We got to water the grass. We got to water the seed. We got to give it the proper sunlight. We got to give the proper soil so that we can, bear the fruit from that tree when it's all big and grown up. That seed is you. I said it last time. That seed is you. We planting our seeds of ourselves. Wherever you put your mind, wherever you put your attention, whatever you give attention to, you are constantly planting the conversations that you have, and you are planting a seed. If you had a negative conversation and you held on to that negativity, what you think you're gonna bear from that tree? More bad fruit, more negative fruit. Who does that serve? It doesn't serve you nor the people you come in contact with that comes after you. So when we start looking at that trail of the seeds that we planted, when we have our own seeds, what type of seed are they going to be? The angry, mad, disruptive, don't have no direction seed. So now we got to wait for some new growth, some new care, and some new nurturing, some new water, some new sunlight, some new fertilizer. They got to get their mind in a different place from where they are, because we left them off there. That's what happens in environments that we occupy. That's what happens when our parents did what they need to do to get us where we at. And if we just pick up from where they left off, we have a job to do to upkeep and be better than they were, because they did the best that they can to put us where they at from what they knew. Good, bad, or indifferent. Even if you felt like you was misguided or misled, understand that your parents did the best that they can from what they knew. So if they were misguided, they only just led you down the path of being misguided. But if you know the difference and you know better, now you got an obligation to do better. So we can't no longer hold on to the excuses of saying that, oh, my poor conditions, my poor neighborhood, my the lack of resources, my lack of we know that these things exist. You have an obligation to figure it out now. Go start being somebody of service, start pouring more value into you. And then eventually doors will start to open. But doors, you're not even going to see the opportunity if you haven't became the person yet. So everything that you're doing is shaping and molding you to be that person of high potential every day. That one conversation that you had, the last conversation that you had, who you talked to, what did y'all pour into one another? What did you pick up? What did you exert out? What did you, feed your mind, feed the brain? What are you watching? All of these things count. All of these things count. And I don't want you to undermine how powerful each conversation is. I don't want you to undermine how powerful your thoughts are, how powerful your perspectives are. Because even if you don't even if you feel that you don't have it all figured out, that is like the best positions, because you have unlimited potential to get it right. You can maximize all your resources, and now you can go through trial and error till you figure it out. Cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. And then now you have a newfound knowledge more than somebody else had if they were just given off the silver spoon. Because now if you get down to the bottom again, you'll be able to figure it out. Okay, TikTok, what's up, loved one? How we on TikTok? TikTok. Okay. 3K. Okay. TikTok. Shout out to all the people on TikTok. Congratulations. 3K on TikTok. That's dope. I like that. Liddy. Be live on Instagram, YouTube, StreamYard, Facebook, TikTok, all of the dope platforms. Shout out to everybody that just tapped in, man. I appreciate and I love you. Just a constant reminder, love yourself in the process, because nobody gonna love you more than you love yourself. And then now when you love yourself, you got more love to pour into somebody else. So you are powerful. Don't never let nobody tell you different, man. Don't never let nobody tell you different. You are powerful. You are loved. Once you start loving yourself, man, there's nothing. I gave the analogy last week too. Nelson Mandela. He went at 40 years old. They locked my boy up 30 years inside of uh 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 the iron wall. They put him behind the wall. Iron curtain. They put him behind that wall, man. He went to prison for 30 years after being, reaching the 40th birthday. So he spent 30 years in prison, came out when he's 70 something. And you know what happened to the brother, right? He said that all the time that they had locked me up, they couldn't lock up my mind. Mm. Out of all the time they locked up the avatar, they locked up that physical, they couldn't lock up the mind. How powerful is that? That just shows you, man. No matter what's going on in your life, man, constantly build yourself up, build up your awareness. You are where you are for reasons because you led yourself here. That's where you are. You are where you are because that's how big you dream, or how small you dreamt, or how far you thought, or what you the lack thereof, or what you thought you could utilize. Everything is a reflection of you. What's up, Rach? Rachel in the building. What's up, loved one? Everything is just perspective. Mindset is key. Absolutely, Ellie. Mindset is key. We build about that every day. It's about always, trying to big ourselves up, learn more, pour more into ourselves so we can pour more to other people. We are all powerful. If you're a great mother, you got a skill set. You got an attribute. You got something of value. If you're a great mother, you're a great parent. That's a great skill set. There are people out there that are misguided on parenthood. You have value there. You can offer that to somebody. You can teach other parents how to be great parents if you're a great parent. If you're a great cyclist, you know how to ride bikes from miles on in, and you know how to condition, you know how to pace, you know how to water, you know how to hydrate, you know how to do that very, very well. You're a marathon cycler. You can teach other people how to cycle. You can teach people how to cycle. There was one individual there was a coach, right? And I can't remember the story verbatim, but the premise of it was this: it was a coach. He was an Olympic coach for cyclists, right? Oh, I heard the story from Seth Golden. That's where I remember the story from. He was doing a speech and he had mentioned the cyclist. So, long story short, he said that the cyclist, the coach, there was a team that were always coming to last place, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, always coming to last place. So when they had the newfound coach that came into the building, the coach said, "You know what we're gonna work on? We're gonna work on everything that we do right." Guys is like, "What do you mean?" He said, "No, like why are we not working on the things that we are poor at?" He said, "Nah, we're not gonna focus on the things that we lack, the things that we're not good at. We're going to focus on the things that we are good at, and we're going to perfect that." Do you know that those individuals turned around that season and then they became number one in the world in cycling? And he said what he learned from the coach. Well, this the cyclist had learned, and what Seth Golden was talking about. He said a lot of times we work on the things that we're not good at. Sometimes you just don't have the fit. You don't have the attributes. I'm a short guy in stature. I'm not 7 feet tall. So what I need to learn how to do is do things, even though my heart is big as a giant, right? But the thing is, just my physicality. I can't go jump up and dunk like Shaq, right? I just don't got the bunnies like that, right? But although I use other things to my advantage, I use my twitch fiber muscles. I'm quick. I'm more agile. I do those things very very well. So what he said was he focused on. He told his cycle group to we're gonna keep perfecting what we do well. And long story short, at the end of the season, they became world champions in cycling. And what I learned about that is sometimes we tend to focus on what we ain't good at. We keep trying to find flaw in our lives, right? We keep looking for the things that we just poor at. How about we just focus on what we good at and perfect what we good at? You know what? I'm a great mother. I'm a great parent. I'm a great cyclist. I'm a great human being. I'm a great communicator. I'm a great lover. I'm a great fighter. If you want to bring that to the boxing ring and you're a great champion in the UFC, if you do these things very well, how about you perfect it? Because it's all about the arena that you're placing in. It's all about the arena that you place it in. Sometimes you can place your skill set in the wrong arena and you'll be at a disadvantage. But if you learn how to utilize your skill sets and place it in the right area, right? You learn how to give yourself the best leverage. That's the key. Use your leverage. A lot of times it's not about being the best at one thing. It's about knowing where to apply your skill set. It's about knowing where to apply your skill set. There's certain things that I know I'm terrible at. And I ain't gonna front to you and act like I'm good at it. But there's certain things that I do very well. And I love to apply myself in those areas. I know I got a heart. I know I love. I know I care. I know I got great relationships. I know I work on try to make them things better. And that's one area where I love to big up my leverage. Just being a person of just being a people's person. Because I know at my heart that's why I feel. And it comes second nature to me. But now I gotta learn how to perfect that. I gotta learn how to communicate better. This is what led me to be here. It's all about leveraging. Absolutely, Ellie. That's what Ellie said. It's all about leveraging. Rachel said, a word. Absolutely. Word, absolutely, loved one. Big Fendi. That's all it's about. And things just start to come so easy to you. The things that we should start, because a lot of times we fighting the things that we don't need to be fighting. We trying to fight, we trying to go against, our God-given talents. Of course, skill, everything can be learned, right? Everything can be learned. But why should we keep wasting time on trying to perfect the flaw? How about we just, perfect what we good at? And then over time, we can let those other things work themselves out, or we can delegate. We can get somebody else that's good at that. Hey, if I can't throw a baseball 100 miles per hour, I'm gonna find the best pitcher on earth. You feel me? I don't need to be the pitcher. Maybe I just I go delegate. I get somebody else that can pitch the best. I don't need to do the pitching. So that's where, we should start to learn how to utilize our skill sets in general. Powerful loved ones. If everybody here, when you feel the conversation that we just building upon, just put some thumbs up or emojis. Let me know you're in the building with us. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell the people that we in the building every Thursday, 7 p.m. Let's bring it down to go to honoring lives. It's powerful. Honoring lives and building legacy. I love that. Right? Honoring lives and building legacy. It's funny, right? I just talked about delegation. It says, dedicate this conversation to Troy Reed. Powerful, right? There are countless unnamed victims who represent the urgency of this issue. So what that means is that honor today, show gratitude today, be appreciative of today. There's so many people have displaced. There's so many people that have displaced opinions about you. Displaced opinions, meaning that their opinions about you are in the wrong place. Their opinions about you are in the wrong place. So what I'm saying is that everybody don't have all of the answers. Everybody don't have all of the answers. We got to find the right people that are qualified to guide us in the right direction. Right? There are people out there that are put in these positions to purposely mislead you, like the redlining, like my sis Ellie was talking about. There are people in positions that are working against you purposely. So sometimes we go into some of these same people that are against you, and we don't know it. But the thing is that, how about we start building more trusted individuals that are around us, start building up our own communities of loved ones, of people that we familiar with, and understand that, you know what, let's get each other the right guidance. Let's put us in the right position. Hey, my brother, my sister do real estate. How about we, find the qualified people that can help curate them, get them to where they need to be at, so they be the leading realtors, wherever. My brother Floody was on here building, talking about how, how he worked this game. My brother had over, forgot what how many, over 3 million in real estate sold. And it was because he said, yo, there was some deals that I couldn't get done. So I relied on my team. I relied on my team to help me get it done. Delegation, trust, confidence in his team, qualified individuals. Teamwork make the dream work. Oh, it's a real thing. You can only go but so far with self. It always starts with self. It starts with you. But then after that, you got to learn how to build, because you got to build yourself up and build the team up around you. Build up the trusted advisors. That's what he called them. He said, there are times I got to call my trusted advisors. He said, there's people that come to him with his real estate. He said, there's deals that he done 2-3 years ago that they call him up right now and say, hey, yo, I got an issue with my roof. What you think I should do? He said, free of charge. He don't do nothing. He called him to his roofer. He'll get him on the phone with his roofer, or somebody have a legal issue. He get him on the phone with one of his lawyers free of charge, because his people are trusting in him to do the right thing, because he built up that trusted team. And he got trusted advisors. So when they come to him for the same type of alley-oop, he gonna provide it. One hand wash the other. You really can't do everything. Absolutely, Ellie. You really can't do everything. Not at all. Not at all. We can't do it all. We can't do it all. Everybody that's out there that's successful in any arena in their lives, they do it with a team. You got a family, it's a team effort. The mother take care of certain duties. The father take care of certain duties. The children take care of their responsibilities, whether it's going to school, getting an education, taking out the trash. Everybody is delegated. Everybody is put to work in some area. You go to school, you get the good grades, we pay for your education. You do the right thing. You want the new sneakers, the new J's, we got you. We go to school, we love one another. We love one another. We trust one another. We build up that know, like, and trust with each other. We build up that bond. We honor that. We build up trust. We build that with one another. Same thing that goes for, when you got the businesses. Hey, you got the person that sweep the floor take the same pride in when other person walk through the door, just of having courtesy of greeting people. Even though he the sweeper or she the sweeper or the janitor or the porter, they still feel like an obligation to be personable. So when a person walk through the door of somebody, whether they high esteem, low esteem, no matter what they think about them, they treat everybody as individuals with the utmost respect. So it affects when you walk into a building and unfamiliar building. Somebody say, "How you doing today? You doing well? Good. Hope you have a great day." When they make you feel like you're at home. Oh, it's a different Southern comfort in there. It makes you feel that, this, it feels welcoming. So now if you walk through a door and you feel like nothing but disdain and hate, you think another person feel comfortable walking through that same door? If you get in the side eye, mm-mm. But it's an effort from everybody all around the board. Ellie says you have to delegate and build a team to win. Big facts right there. You have to delegate and build a team to win. Powerful, sis. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Man, that's powerful. And you know what's so crazy? I know in our communities, I know me pointing that I thought I could do it by myself. No way, Jose. That's why I stayed at the back of the line. At the time, I just thought I had it all figured out. I didn't. I didn't. The live ended. Oh. Because I seen it live. I said, "Oh, shit was over." Yeah, real talk. But it's learning, and we don't have to be ashamed of where we are. The thing is that we only up against what we know. We only exercise what we know, and that's okay. But the thing is that we all have each other to where we can learn and grow from, and we can. I love this from Coach Lucky. Coach Lucky says that there are things in life that we grow into things, then we grow out of things. We grow into things, we grow out of things. Right now, we're just in a space. So this is where we are, this space that we grew into. And then eventually we'll grow out of it to a newfound plateau. We're going to a new space. And there we're gonna be the newcomers in that space. And then from there, we be able to learn and grow. And then from there, we be able to take our journey on to the next steps. But we are where we are because this is where we are in our lives. And there's beauty in that. There's beauty in growing into new things and growing out of it to go to newfound territories and being able to excel in those other areas and learn and grow and do different things to impact. That's the beauty, because life is a continuum. Life is a continuum, meaning that it continues. We never stop learning. We never stop growing. We get 70, 80, 100 years old. There will be some things that we learned at 100 that we didn't know when we was 25. There's some things right now that our babies are seeing at 5, 6 years old that they didn't, encounter at 3. Because now we got a certain level of independence. So they want to go in the closet and pull out all their clothes. I'm wearing the rain boots with these shorts, and I got a winter coat on, and it's 85 degrees outside. But the creativity behind this, and the independence, they start learning their independence. So now I want to get dressed. So they go to school and they got the makeup on, they got the hair wild, they got the earphone, whatever they doing as kids. But you see the sense of individualism, you see the independence, you see how they want to come out their shell and say, "No, I can do this myself." Powerful. They went from getting these diapers changed to want to go to use the bathroom themselves, and they want to go pick out their clothes themselves. They want to pick out what they want to eat for them. They want to do all these things. Just finding, some level of independence. And that's how we learn to grow. We're going to grow into some things and we grow out of some things. The beauty of it all. Today was a powerful build. Super appreciative that we was able to touch upon some of these topics, because I know they hit home for me, and I know it hit home for a lot of us. And a lot of times we see these things and we don't know how to respond to them, or we choose not to, or we want to, and we don't know what is right and wrong. The thing is that if we continuously pour more into ourselves, the answers start to come. The answers start to come, because what you'll start to do is you'll start to build up some level of prudence. wisdom will be instilled in you. Wisdom will be instilled in you because the more that you come up against, the more experiences that you have, the more data you got to work with, right? That's the difference between somebody like our parents per se, right? Or elderly, whoever. They have experience over us. Somebody can be financially more astute than you at 15 years old than you can be at your 60s, whatever, whatever may be, right? Maybe the environment that they grew up in, maybe how the business the family structured their business or they try whatever they may be. They should be more financially astute than you are at the age of 15 than a person that's at 60. But life experiences of the ups, the downs, the woes, the ins and outs, and all those things, you can't never take that away from somebody that has the years and experience that they put in. Somebody may know a different system, a different way to know how to do a thing. But the thing is, what I heard, it was who was it? It was I think it was Ty Lopez talking to some other one of his bit, and I know he's under a lot of heat in this day and age for this he is scam or whatever. That's his own business. But what I'm saying is that he was having a conversation with um one of one of his I think the dude that owned Atlanta Hawks, the one of the owners of the Atlanta Hawks. He had said something along the lines of, one thing that the elderly have over the youth is just experience, right? The youth have they have the energy to go out there and they have more room to try new things and fail. They have so much more room for that. But the experience from somebody that hasn't been in the game as long as would give you some leverage. So at life, no matter what area that you occupy, it could be finances, it could be health, it could be happiness, it could be wellness. There's certain things that we just have uh more experience than others, definitely when it comes to our children about life. There's things that I hear from my mother that she'll tell me something right now, and I'm like, Ma, you bugging. And then 3 weeks from now, I'm like, yo, she's seen it. She's like the Jedi. She's seen this thing coming. I don't know how she's seen it. And she'll say something to me, plant a seed, and it don't make sense to me. Months down the line, I'm like, oh, that's what she was talking about. And it doesn't hit me until then. That's just the experience and the wisdom. She's just been around, have more experience. She see things up, down, left, right, sideways, flipped up. She's seen it. She's seen things unfold in so many ways. And all she do is just instill her part. That's what she do. Hey, just plant the seed. You do what you do. Make your own decisions in your life. Live the life the way you want to live your life. But I did my part as a parent. I just try to guide you in the right direction. I just made you aware of some of these things. And I know you're smart enough to figure it out. And that's what she does. And then sometimes I get it immediately. Sometimes I get it weeks from now. Sometimes I get it months from now. And some things she say to me, I still don't understand. But one day it will hit me, you know? But today was a powerful build. We mainly talked about um bullying awareness month. We talked about some of the woes, some of the things that we all undergo or seen or just witnessed. We talked about uh bullying, we talked about domestic violence. We touched upon some of these topics, just trying to get some more insight and just bring some more awareness because I know that life can be drowning at times. It could be uh really, really difficult because we not really taught to trust in ourselves, right? We don't instill a lot of power within oneself, and I think that's some level to a degree it causes us to have a disadvantage, right? We always try to seek help, even though we know that it takes a team effort to do things. But I know we got to get into to a rhythm of, building ourselves up to trust ourselves. So now we can be trusted advisors to other people in their field of expertise, in their field when they looking or seeking some level of guidance, and you can offer that, right? And then if we looking and seeking some things from somebody else with their expertise, then we can go to our realtor friends and family. We can go to our family therapists. We can go to our family doctors. We can go to some of these people in our communities that are great at what they do because they poured into themselves and they build a level of autonomy within oneself. They build a level of trust within oneself. They built a level of confidence. They seeked out certain levels of guidance. They had levels of discipline. That's what happens over time when people are true to their purpose and who they are. And that's who we can be today. We can choose by choice. We can do that today. We can start, affirming that. We can start affirming that and say, you know what, today I am this, and I'm a model my behavior of somebody that moves like this. I'm a model my behavior as somebody that's open, honest, and transparent by exercising it today. And of course, there gonna be some times where you don't hit it on a button. But you know what's great about that? That you got data. So now you can sift through that data and say, well, what worked? What didn't work? I know how to apply this on the next go round. And then you may apply it, it may work and it may not work. But the whole premise is that it's a continuum of causes and effect. And then in due time, you can start building up higher quality decision making over time. And now it's gonna seem like you can't miss. You just hitting buckets. Water, water, water. Man, I finessed that. I did that. I'm good at that. But that's just the work that you put in. So don't doubt yourself. Trust yourself. Exercise, work on the things that you're good at, perfect it. Some of the things that you may not be good at, get delegation. Like Ellie said, point that in the direction of some other individuals that have that expertise in that field. Ellie says there are many different forms of evolution of oneself. Who it's all about growth. Powerful, sis. Let me read that again. There are many different forms of evolution of oneself. It's all about growth. Oh, super powerful. I love that right there. Man, there's no other perfect way to end it than that, man. Oh man, today was a powerful day. I commend everybody for coming in and sharing their wisdom, sharing their thoughts. I super appreciate it. As a disclaimer, there's things that we all discussed today that made anybody feel uncomfortable. Understand is with the intention to help, not to hurt. So that's our premise. Every time we come here, we all have a voice and we want to expound. We want to be able to express. We want to be able to um, communicate in a way to where we have we trying to we finding truth. That's all it's about. And there gonna be some things that hit home and may rub the wrong or the right way, but understand that everybody here intentionally is doing things intentionally with a purpose to try to help, not hurt. And if it comes off in any other way, don't take it as such. Understand that if it rubs you the wrong way, maybe it's something that you need to take a closer look at and go back and see, let me evaluate this. Why am I so bothered by this? And there may be something there that you need to look at and say, oh, okay, I know there's something that I may need to work on. You feel me? Ellie says, thank you for bringing the conversation to the table. I appreciate you, sis. Thank you for engaging. It's super appreciative because you always show up and you do it often. Every time you coming up, you always here and you always sharing your thoughts and your mind and your perspective, and it helps the conversation carry on, and it impacts us in so many ways. You do so much for me and do so much for our community here, and you're allowing everybody to see how you think and see how powerful your thoughts are and your perspectives and how you feel about topics and subject matter. And it counts because it counts for me. And understand that you are changing lives by voicing your opinion. Everybody that contributed on some form or some fashion, and Ellie, everybody, whoever just came up and blessed us with your presence, that's powerful enough because you boosting up that algorithm. You letting know that you're on the building and you taking your time out in the world to share with us today. Nothing can be more appreciated than that, because there's so many things we could be doing with our time, and to share that with us, you giving one of the most valuable assets that's more valuable than money, which is time. You offering your time, and that never goes unnoticed. Definitely with me, and I just appreciate everybody that graced us with their presence alone, and everybody that voiced their opinion, and everybody that should show up for themselves. If you show up for yourself, that's more important than anything, whether you're doing private or public. I think that counts more because you're gonna affect so many people by you just becoming a better version of yourself. And I commend every individual for doing that. Continue to love yourself, continue to strive for a better tomorrow. Do what you can today, and understand that there's so much more things that you're going to be able to offer the world by you just affirming who you are. Just affirming who you are, you're going to offer the world so many beautiful things, and we're going to learn and grow together. And there going to be some things we take back to our communities that's going to be like out of this world, because we're changing it. We're changing it. Each conversation is changing it, because now we're instilling a thought behind some of these sentiments that we all may share in private. There's some things that people are hurting in private. Some people are celebrating in private. Some people may publicly show as if they celebrating, but they hurting inside. We don't know what that may look like. We know that it happens because we have loved ones that are affected by it. But your conversations today, your presence today, is just the confirmation that we all are concerned about some of these topics at hand, and we are willing to take a stance. And that's the most powerful thing. So when people see us, like, you know what, now we can have these type of conversations in our community, it's going to affect, because I know 9 times out of 10, we don't really have these type of conversations around these subject matters. We just take it as such and say, you know what, just deal with it, because maybe these are some of the practices that other people had um exercised at one point in time in their lives, and they just living it out because of past practices of what they seen or what they saw or what they watched on Baddies, on Bad Girls Club, etc. And we thinking this is a way of life because we know our youth are affected by it. We know the adults that live through it, that's going through it now, are still affected by it. We know that trauma is a real thing, and if we just can constantly offer some level of resources to our community, we've done our job. We just being able to have the conversation around it, we've done our job because now we can have people that are doing these things in silence, and they don't think that they can have a voice. When they see us, male, female, black, white, blue, green, etc., having this conversation, it's going to give them the confidence in due time to step forward and say, you know what, I could take a stance. I could take a stance, even if the thought of having that person say, maybe one day I have the confidence to come forward. You did your job. Because some people just feel like there's no way they can even get to that point of thinking that there's a possibility that they could come forward and just make a change. They just say, this is my life. This is what I'm going to go through and experience for the rest of my life. But they're having a conversation around it, and they can look at you and say, I can identify with her. I can identify with him. I can identify with them. Man, they having a conversation. Or I never seen no person that doesn't look like me having this conversation. And how does it affect them? Because I thought I was the only person that's dealing with this systemic X, Y, and Z. Or if this is something that just, been buried deep in our family, X, Y, and Z. But now they know that they can have the conversation around it, and they know that other people experience it, and they know that there are outlets that can change their perspective and change their reality. Oh man, so powerful, so powerful, so powerful. Thank everybody again. Super, super love and appreciate everybody. And we will be back again next Thursday, 7 p.m. on the Respectful Debate podcast. Love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. And I'll see you next Thursday. Respectfully.